Good morning and welcome to a much chillier start to this episode of Tantantula's Sofa Safari. As you can see, the jacket is on, clouds in the sky, no rain was forecast for last night, didn't happen, but following a good downpour a few days ago, we got 2 inches of rain, 50 mils. The bush has been revived. It was looking very dry last week, but much better condition at the moment. So we're going to head out there. Not a great deal of vehicles out at the moment helping us, so let us see what we find. Again, may run into a couple of episodes, but let us just go out and see what the bush has to offer. But just really happy to see it green again. Off to a great start. I just formatted my memory card on my camera, forgetting that I hadn't actually downloaded my photos from the weekend. Dumbass. Anyway, rain has come, but since I last actually got out and recorded an episode, the surest signs of summer are also here. A lot of our migratory birds are back. I actually stopped to try to film a European roller, which is the first one I've seen this summer, although they have been around for about a week now. Baby impalas are everywhere, and woodlands kingfishers are back. So we're going to try to see if we can show you some of these summer indicators and migrants that we have been talking about for the whole season of Sofa Safaris. But yes, I'll just try not to format anything else until I've actually downloaded it. Following the rain, we've had 3 nights of termite A-late emergences. So this is when, following the rain, the termites release their winged reproductives. They fly off, meet up with mates from another colony, shed their wings and bury underground to hopefully begin a new colony. But just driving on the road here, we can see all these little brown mounds of sand popping up. This is where these termites have buried underground and kicked up the sand, an indication of where they would hopefully start a colony. Based on the number we see, we can obviously realize that not every one of these is going to be successful, otherwise we would be living on a termite infested landscape. That being said, despite them not all being successful, termites still make up the largest amount of living biomass in this Kruger environment. So there's more living material within termites than there are in any other animals in this Kruger area. So a vital component of our ecosystems. I was actually out on a bumble yesterday afternoon during one of these emergencies, and I didn't have my camera handy, but the number of giant plated lizards that had descended from their rocky outcrops to come and feast on all of these termites was pretty remarkable. It's actually something I hadn't seen before. Your spur fowl, guinea fowl, they were also all running around making use of this temporary abundance of protein. A couple of Wahlberg's eagles sitting on the ground feeding on them too. So yeah, it's a lot of them are going to get eaten, but there are just so many that are released that there's a good percentage that are going to make it into the ground and hopefully begin their new lives as future kings and queens of the colonies. We have our first summer migrant of this episode, a red-backed shrike. Very common this time of year. Summer visitors all the way from the steppes of Russia and Eurasia, going all the way into kind of Mongolia and Western China. Awful long way for a little bird to fly. Remarkable, and we'll chat about it more over the course of the summer episodes when we look at these migratory birds, but just what a feat migration actually is. But coming down for the bounty of insects, and I'm sure not disappointed by what they have found upon their arrival here. Who needs to be fancy with 4K videos when you can just zoom in on your camera and get to see the bird? Until it does that. A heron on a rock, and that rock happens to be a hippo. Very, very pregnant wildebeest here. Our herds out, being photobomb by an impala. Our herds out in the west have dropped their babies, but this side of the park doesn't appear as though they have. There you go. See that belly now? So it must be days away from dropping. I'm hoping more like minutes away, so she does it in front of us. Amazingly, something I've never seen in all of my years in the bush as a birth. Bit of a sore point for me. Every season I think maybe this will be the one, but it just doesn't happen. Very distantly here, while you're watching the wildebeest, we can see some of the baby impalas walking around. Very difficult to film because the mums are always so nervous at this time of year, understandably so, but it does mean that we don't get very close to them. And here we go, some babies standing still long enough to film. Our first report was on the 12th of November. I got to see my first babies on the 13th of November, which is about par. Some years a little earlier, some a little later. And there it goes. But there are still a number of pregnant females. But we're probably close to being about halfway, or just past halfway, of the lambing season with these incredible animals. Got to grow into those ears and those legs. They are incredibly cute and fast. We have a bird I tried to show you in one of the previous episodes, recent ones, called a Temminck's courser. Often found running around in the open areas, old airstrips. Very, very well camouflaged and disguised eggs. They don't make nests, they just lay them on the ground, often amongst piles of animal dung. They look so similar that they can easily blend in with the surrounding dung and sand. A Temminck's courser. They're only a couple of weeks old, and you're already starting to find these lambs grouping together in little nursery groups, spending time with the moms for nursing, suckling, and then going and sitting and resting up with the other babies. When they're very young, they are like permanent shadows on the mother, and they barely leave the mom's side. But as they get older, they become independent's probably the wrong word, but they do their own thing and stay with these groups far more than they spend with their moms. Tree time. I've been doing a lot of flowers after the first rains, and also a lot of flowering trees. Behind me now is one of the last trees that have started flowering. Tree we did discuss earlier on in our Surface Forest series, but I guess after like 58 episodes we have discussed a lot of them. But this is one called an African weeping wattle. You may remember it. If you've been on safari, you will no doubt have been told the terrible toilet paper jokes, but is deemed to be one of the most suitable trees to use in the event of a bush emergency like that. When nature calls, you have to answer. But what is standing out now this time of year are these beautiful flowers. So the tree is covered in this profusion of yellow flowers. And these flowers are going to be drawing a lot of insects. They are insect pollinated, and as a result of that, particularly the nectar loving insects, you're going to get a lot of insect eating birds. Sorry, the insectivorous word that I was looking for escaped my mind at that moment. But yeah, it becomes a hive of activity. The name weeping wattle, as we have mentioned previously, comes from the presence of sap sucking bugs called spittle bugs that sequester the sap from the tree at almost, and excrete it at almost the same rate they take it in, which causes this kind of weeping, raining effect. But I've never, in all my years of guiding, actually found any of these spittle bugs in action on a weeping wattle or any tree for that. The rain tree or apple leaf is another one that's well known for having these little bug on me, having these spittle bugs. Medicinally, the tree is used for a number of things. The bark of the tree, decoction of the bark can be used to treat internal parasites, and if you have sore eyes, the steam from that decoction can help relieve the eyes. The other well-utilized components of the tree for medicinal purposes are the roots, which, depending on what you do with it, can treat various problems, from stomach issues to venereal diseases to infertility in women, and even a wash made from it, I believe, can treat insanity. I think I know what I shall be doing this afternoon then. But yeah, the flowering weeping wattle, always good in cases like this morning when the animals are not really playing along just yet. It's still pretty miserable out. Well, miserable is a strong word, but it's a bit cool. It's been a bit of a drizzle. It's not wonderful weather to be out and about. Ooh, grass. We're coming to grass season now that most of the flowers are out. But this is one with quite standout inflorescence, if I can focus on them. There we go. This we call a sawtooth or a heart-shaped lovegrass. Erogostus superba, I believe. But growing on this one, or not growing on it, found on this one, we have, looks like a Uthika from a praying mantis. Sorry, I got disturbed there because somebody just raided in that they'd found Nyeleti and her son close to our camp. One about sour plums here that is getting its fruit. I saw the other sour plum has got a bunch of ripe fruit on it at the moment. If I can find one, I'll happily eat one in front of camera for you. As the name suggests, they are a little bit sour. Yes, there's only one way to find out how sour they are. Wow, they're not lying. That's not very pleasant, I won't lie. I've answered my own question, definitely not ripe. And now, after I've done that, I see there is one turning a bit redder. Let me grab that one, see if it's any better. So what normally happens with these sour plums is that they actually have a lot of sweetness and sugar in them. As soon as you bite into it, you get that, followed by the sourness. That was just full-on sour. There we go, one that's not quite as green. So I've gone and cut off the outer skin, exposing this yellowish flesh. Which has a lot more sweetness in it. Still very sour. I don't think it's quite ripe yet. They go, at least for the other species, go red when they're at their ripest. I'm not doing it, I'm sorry. It's unpleasant. I've arrived in the area where these leopards were left. Leopards, it is Nyeleti and her son. The guys picked them up crossing the Nharhu, lost them, but when they followed up the last place they saw them, they were here in this thicket on an impala kill. But it is exceptionally dense in here. I can't even see the kill, to be honest. Just going to sit, see if we get some movement, otherwise I'll maybe try from the drainage line side. The leopard right in the thickets on this riverbank. That is the young boy. He will be a year old now. Nyeleti once again proving to be a good mom, having successfully raised her second cub to this point. A few more months to go before independence, but yeah, she's done the hardest part. A little better now once the sun's gone behind the clouds. It's actually a good time. I mean, at a year old now, he's no doubt made his first kills, and would be birds, squirrels, mongooses, things like that. But over the last few weeks, there's no doubt that when Mom leaves this guy alone, if he picks up on any sign of those impala herds with impala lambs, he will be out and about trying to grab them. With between maybe 3 and 8 months until he becomes independent. So much of it depends on when Mom comes back into estrus. This will be a good stage for him to start honing those hunting skills when he's out and about exploring the territory on his own. And the young impalas provide a very easy they're very easy, comparatively easy target for him. And if he can work up his confidence and build up his confidence by catching them now, that will stand when he does become a fully independent leopard. Definitely knows how to hide away. Once you have a kill, he's lying in there. But there's that nice knobthorn, and probably easier hoist up that marula as potential locations for them to take the kill up a little later in the day. Once darkness sets and the hyenas start prowling, there's always a chance of them coming across your kill. And even though there's 2 leopards here, sorry, Mom just popped out as I was talking. So even though there's the 2 of them here, they don't have a chance of protecting a kill against a leopard. So it would be better for her to get it up one of these trees, keep it safe. However, this time of day, unlikely that the hyenas are going to be wandering around, and it's safe enough on the ground. Both her and the youngster will be able to eat it, which will lighten the load and make it an easier hoist. Where do you want to come lie, girl? Actually hear her calling the cub. Sorry, it's habit that I call it a cub even though it's so big. At his age, probably bigger than her already. So there are presently 2 leopards sitting in this bush. I mean, if you were wandering around this drainage line for whatever reason, you could so easily walk into one of them. The joys of summer. I can tell if you're walking through the bush and walking through the riverbed and the bush moves like that, you are going to freak out in a big way. So I've been sitting here for a wee while, and not much has emerged from the bush other than the sound of panting leopards. It's warming up now, the sun's starting to break through the clouds. So I think what we're going to do, and when I say we, I mean I and my other alter egos, is we're going to head back to camp, and then we'll come out this afternoon or tomorrow morning and check up on them and carry on getting a bit more stuff for you. So stick around. So after this morning's cloudy and somewhat rainy weather, look at this day. And look at my hair. It's been a somewhat domestic day for me. Don't miss that at all. But yeah, heading out this afternoon, go see if there's any better luck with those leopards and what else we can find. Oh yes, I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, so you don't have to look at it for too much longer. Hi guy. Just leaving camp now. I can see 1, 2 elephants at the water and at least 3 young bulls here. Looks like a little bachelor group. Nice to see here. We have 8 elephant bulls gathered around our waterhole. This boy being the biggest of the lot. You may in the shadows to his left see the bird hide of ours that overlooks the dam. I say a rarity because most of the herds, sorry, let me try that properly. Most of the elephants we see are in the big breeding herds. Don't often see them. That guy on the left is picking something up. Don't often see the bulls. It's a relatively young group of bulls, but yeah, this guy on our right hand side here. What has he got? He's got like an old cloth. Oh no, must have been something dragged out of the camp by the hyenas. I have to go pick that up afterwards. But just look at this magnificent light that we have here. Oh, such a change rain makes. Obviously, you know, our first rains created the largest change from a brown. It didn't take much for the bush to respond, and literally within a couple of days it's gone from being the sun-scorched grass into a lush green oasis, and once more reviving the conditions that make me love this time of year the most. Let's look at that. You don't want to be that tree now in the middle of two boisterous bulls. The guy on the left initiating the tussle. Because they're just boys on their own, there's no seriousness about this. None of these bulls are in must. Most of them are probably too young to actually come into must. So they do spend a good part of their days just playing around, practicing, sparring with one another. It's like they're a stalemate. As I look into the distance there, you can see what has no doubt drawn these boys here, the remainder of the breeding herd. But another bull, sorry, I thought it was a breeding herd, but it's a youngish bull who's showing off fantastically here in this amazing light. Boisterous post-teen years. And eventually we have some females and young. Little, oh, beautiful tusks on this female, look at her. A little bit alert because of the bull to the right, the boisterous bull. He was trumpeting as I drove past, which has caught the attention of these females. But that cow's a nice old girl with beautiful tusks. Stopped feeding. His ears are out. They're listening to some communication somewhere. Stop now. So they're back to feeding. Beautiful big leadwood behind them. Trunk draped over a truck. You see what housework does to me. It's like alcohol. had her trunk draped over a trunk. Had her trunk draped over her tusk in a very typical fashion that a large bull would often exhibit. Jeepers, obviously sniffing too many chemicals while cleaning. A few more herd members on the left hand side there. And the boisterous bull is back. The usual line, yes, it is a male. Very cool mating display from a red-crested korhaan, triggered by the sound of the engine. They get turned on by cars, very Jeremy Clarkson of them. But yeah, it's coming into the summer months now, prime breeding time. My hair does look ridiculous, but let that not distract from the korhaan's displays. This ain't gonna get me anything, but what you saw there from the male korhaan, flies up 20-30 meters into the air, folds his wings up, sticks his legs out and starts falling back down to the ground. The higher he flies, the further his fall, the more attractive his display. the female likes what she sees, she will come and court him. Not a bad one, yeah, 6.5, 7 out of 5, out of 5. There we go. 6.5, 7 out of 10. He could have done better, but a lot better than I have seen on many other males, and I'm a very strict judge. Another single male hippo, not this one that had the heron company on his back this morning. This is at Impala Dam. Yes, we are watching you. Makings of a great sunset, and in the darkness there, herd of impala. Why, hello. Look at who we have sleeping here just off the road. Two very fat, very well-fed Nharhu males, panting away what has turned out to be a warm afternoon. But yeah, these two boys, I believe from the guide who found them, have got a zebra kill somewhere over yonder in the thickets. It would explain very much why their bellies are so big. But the lack of females also tells us that they were likely the ones that hunted this zebra on their own. And it happens quite often with these males that they disappear and come back full-bellied. And even as guides, we'll often make the assumption that the only reason they're full-bellied was that at some point the females must have made a kill, males joined up and ate their share of it. But this proves, as is very often the case actually, that these males do hunt on their own. In the past, my experience with male lions is that the things that they'll go for more regularly are buffalo, but for a number of reasons, including the general lack of buffalo in this area following the drought of 15 and 16, as well as the lack of exposure these males have to hunting buffalo, they don't often target them. But something like a zebra, and especially catching a zebra in the thickets over here in these summer conditions, a lot of raisin bush growing around here, which greatly reduces the visibility of the prey species, especially now in summer. It would have made it much more ideal hunting conditions, even for two growing males like this. But yeah, well done Nharhus. They're looking great. He looks most uncomfortable. Rather you guys than me. Give it a couple of weeks after a good Christmas lunch and I think I'll be in a very similar position. Quite unlike Nyeleti and her son, who have to be very careful of the hyenas that are going to start lurking soon. These males wouldn't give two hoots if a hyena were to come by. Well, they would care because they don't like hyenas, so they would react to its presence potentially. Maybe look at it, growl at it. If it comes close enough, chase it. If a number of hyenas came, they would be far more inclined to interact with them, but they don't fear losing a kill. The presence of two big males like this around a carcass is almost certainly going to keep even the larger hyena clans in this area at bay. I'm going to go have a drink of water at the pan there. Well, pan's a puddle in the road. Oh, and that deserves a closer look.
somewhere else, probably still with the same female that so where's the bamba?
I haven't seen it. One of our winged alates. Not the most natural scene, but it's landed here in my car. Fly, going to be prosperous. We're not very far from where Nyeleti and her boy are with their kill. Sun is heading towards the horizon, hoping that she uses her experience and slightly creature of habitish behavior and decides to hoist the kill now just before darkness sets. If not that, I just hope that she's out in the open. So let's go pop in there and see what is happening. One little scene full of impala here. Maybe the babies will stand still for a change. So yeah, arrived here and found them on the road, seemingly walking away from the area where they killed us. So maybe there ain't going to be no hoisting, because maybe it's done, whatever it was. Bearing in mind it is 2 leopards and a growing boy, and we all know how teenage boys eat. But yeah, I don't think it was a baby. She wouldn't have called him back for a baby impala. It must have been a fully grown one. Anyway, they're on the move, so let's see where they go. Bless you. So yeah, what an afternoon, and I've travelled a massive 6.8 kilometres, and I'm about 500 metres from the camp now. I can actually see my house. It's one of those days where everything works together, and I'm sorry, I have to mention the hair again. Look at this thing, it's like I'm going to take off the wings of its own. But yeah, we've got a few more minutes with them before it gets too dark. But yeah, let's see if we can get 1 or 2 last good views of these leopards. So the answer was no, we're not going to get another view of them because they went into a thicket, went round and didn't see them coming out. Light's almost gone though, so going to potentially call it a day. That male lion roared again now. A little bit more than half of me wants to go find him, so I might just do that. So there we are, 7.8 k's. And there's the sign to my home, which is about 200 meters. So I call it an 8-kilometer drive this afternoon. Always wonderful when things work out like that. Didn't have to rush anywhere. I think I've been out for about an hour and 40 minutes. It's been wonderful. But I hope you have enjoyed this episode. It's been a good day. The way it started out this morning, I didn't think it was going to have anything exciting to offer. But that is the bush. You just never know, and you should never give up. I look forward to seeing you folks again soon. I'll be out tomorrow morning with these wings, but by afternoon they will be gone. So until then, take care, and from us and the beautiful African savannah behind us, did I just say that word? The African bushveld behind us, take care, stay safe, and we will see you again very soon. Cheers.